So the other day I was watching one of my favorite movies ever. Also one of the most manly movies ever, in my opinion. It's Kung Fu Panda 2. And towards the very end, we came across a scene that's usually pretty comedic, but for some reason, and it got me thinking quite a bit. Roll the clip.
I scarred you for life.
See, that's the thing, Shen. Scars heal.
No, they don't. Wounds heal.
Oh, yeah. What do scars do? They fade, I guess?
I don't care what scars do.
But I do care what scars do. Because scars in many situations, including in this scene, are used as metaphors for past emotional trauma and past emotional baggage. But after watching this scene, it made me realize that these scars that we refer to are more comparable to open wounds than anything else. And that's what I'm going to try to prove today. That emotional scars should be referred to as emotional wounds. And why, you may ask, do I care so much about this simple word choice that is literally just a phrase that doesn't mean anything? It has no long term repercussions. Because it bothers me. That's why. But also, I have a point to make at the very end, so stay tuned, and hopefully, God makes sense out of all of it. We'll start off talking about wounds, and don't worry, I'll make sure not to be too graphic when talking about physical wounds. But as you can see, I have broken down into three main categories. Number one, a wound is actively damaged. You can see the damage, you can see where it's damaged, and you can also feel the pain. Feel the pain. The wound is actively damaged and it's actively painful. The damage is happening in real time. However, it is actively damaging also, meaning you're actively losing lifeblood, and that in itself can be very harmful to the body. But the wound still has potential to do even more damage than that. If you don't receive the right medical attention in time, the wound has the potential to become infected. And when it becomes infected, it affects not only the sites of the wound, but the whole entire body becomes affected. Now that we know what a physical wound is, now we can talk about physical scars. First off, a scar is healed. Um, there's no damage, there's no pain because the wound has been healed. And because it's been healed, the scar also causes no damage. I have a couple of scars on me myself, and I hardly notice them unless I'm actually looking at them because they cause no damage and they cause no pain. So there's no reason for me to notice them. And last but not least, scars do in fact fade. I have a scar on my right cheek that I got whenever I was 2 or 3 years old, and it was a lot more prominent as a kid. But now, as you can see, it's a lot more faded and less noticeable. I know I didn't need to have evidence that a scar fades, but there you go. Well, I have it. It's right here. Scars do in fact fade. So now let's look at all this from an emotional perspective. Sometime in your life, you will go through something traumatic. It's going to happen. It's unavoidable. It's all part of being human. Whether it be a loss, maybe it's a breakup, maybe it's a personal failure or a personal embarrassment. No matter what it is, it will happen. And when it does, it will leave you damaged. It will cause you hurt and pain. And it will also be damaging. And because it'll cause sorrow and grief to increasingly enter your life. And consequently, you will also experience less joy and peace in the long run. And if this pain still is left undealt with, it has the potential to become even worse. Because all this sorrow and grief will manifest itself into a mental disorder, such as anxiety or depression, and it will attack the whole psyche. That's why I refer to this pain as an emotional wound. And what do you do whenever you have a wound of any kind? You you go to get to treated. You go to a doctor. You go to someone who can help you get fixed up. And so, one of the things that we have to ask ourselves as Christians is, how do we deal with our wounds? And to whom or to what do we run to with our pain? When when I was 9 years old, I lost my older brother. And when you're that young, you don't fully process things like that, not fully at least. So it didn't really hit me that hard in the moment. However, when I was 12 years old and going to middle school for the first time, I dealt with lots of insecurities about who I was and about my personality. And one of the thoughts that would pop to mind is, dang, my brother was better than me in every way. And a second one that would pop to mind is, it doesn't make sense that he passed away instead of me. And so all of these thoughts and insecurities just kind of boiled together and brewed a self hatred that I lived with for 3 or 4 years and just didn't bring up to anyone because I thought it was normal. I thought it was normal to have feelings like this, and I was just the only one who couldn't deal with it. And I thought it was a sign that I didn't believe hard enough. I thought that I was going through this pain, and my faith was weak, and I was somewhat right, but my lack of faith wasn't in the fact that I was going through this pain to begin with. My lack of faith was that I didn't bring my pain to God, was that I didn't open up to Him about how I was feeling. Not until I was 15 years old and actually trying to grow closer to Him. I remember that morning I was reading my devotional, and something about it just broke me down, and I openly wept to God, and I opened up about my insecurities for the first time. I just cried for Him and asked Him for peace and clarity, and He gave it to me. That day He gave me a joy like I've never felt before. God cannot heal wounds that are not shown to Him. One of the worst things that you can do in your relationship with God is not be intimate with Him, because He wants every part of you. He wants you when you're happy, you're sad, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're confused. He wants every part of you and every part of your life. If He wants to walk with you through life, and He will walk you through it all. He'll walk you through the fire. He will walk with you through everything if you let Him. So if you are going through pain and hurt like this, I just recommend that you find a room that you can be alone and speak freely. And just pray to God. Weep, scream, cry, do whatever you're feeling in that moment, and just be vulnerable to Him. That is no sin, to be vulnerable to God. And just let Him in. And He will give you peace and joy like you never felt before. And whenever you lean on God and truly trust Him with your pain, He can take your wounds and turn them into scars. Scars that are healed. This trauma no longer affects you anymore. There's no pain, there's no hurt, because God has healed you. Scars that cause no damage. As sorrow and grief have no home in you anymore, they cannot take away your peace. They cannot take away your joy. Just once again, and you have been healed through Jesus Christ, who has taken this pain, taken this sorrow from you. Both physical and emotional scars leave a mark behind because it's a sign of your healing. Paul and James both write that going through trials produces endurance, perseverance, steadfastness to overcome trials. So that whenever you look at my scars, or you do not see my hurts, you do not see my sorrow, you do not see my grief, but rather you are a witness of my healing. You see how God has healed me. You see in my perseverance, you have seen the endurance that God has given me to overcome my pain, and you have witnessed the peace that He has instilled in me. And that's a peace, that's an endurance, that's a healing that will last forever because scars fade. Not in a sense that you will lose them or you will lose your healing, but rather that healing just becomes more of a part of you. If I didn't tell you about all of the bad stuff that I've been through, you probably wouldn't have guessed. Because even years later, or His peace is still inside of me. Yeah, I still carry that peace and that joy everywhere I go. And my past trauma no longer has a hold on me. And that peace, that endurance, that joy that I spoke of have just become more of a part of me, my character, and my story that I carry with me forever because His healing lasts forever. And the last point I want to make is do not treat your wounds as scars. Do not treat your burdens and your heartbreak as an object of permanence that you have to deal with and struggle with on your own, because you don't. And if you try to, it will destroy you. I had to learn that lesson a second time 3 years ago. My dad was losing his mind in a losing battle to cancer, and I was one of his primary caretakers. And as I was also becoming the man of my family, I took it upon myself to bottle up my emotions and hide them from everybody so that I could be there for everybody. Not my smartest move, for sure, but I've been through hard times before. I've been through the fire and I dealt with it. I've overcome it. As a matter of fact, I'm numb to everything at this point. That's why I kept on telling myself that I was just numb to everything. But being numb isn't healing, as I soon learned. One morning, I woke up and all of that anxiety came rushing back to me. And I noticed it immediately. So what did I do? I told myself that I was overreacting, that I was panicking, that I can deal with this. So I went to work. I couldn't deal with it. Tears were running down my face. I was getting more and more short of breath. I was very lucky that I was working alone. Otherwise, I'm sure I would have been making people very, very worried. But I was losing it. And luckily, I found time to take a bathroom break, and I knew exactly what I needed to do. So I said a quick 1 or 2 minutes prayer to God and just said, God, I'm losing it right now. I need your help, God. Please take away this anxiety. I cannot deal with it. Hey, Lord, take it away from me. And what do you know? I went back to work in my peace and joy. He came running back to me. You can't fight these battles alone. You're not strong enough. No one is. The only one who's strong enough is Jesus Christ, who bore all of our burdens on the cross. He's the only one and who can help us overcome it through him alone. And we are not meant to go through this battle alone. So please open up to trusted friends and family. Heck, even get a therapist if God's calling you to it. But, and this is a big but, I do believe that a vulnerable and intimate relationship with God has to be at the center. Because he is the only one and who can help you overcome your burdens, your heartbreak. He's the only one who can help you overcome your anxiety, your depression, and turn them all into beautiful scars as a sign of your victory through Jesus. Yes. Whew. Got a little vulnerable there.